Welcome back to KDKA's Next Take on 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA. I'm Colin Ferguson.
I'm Michael Soshin.
Our next take is sending us to the Big Apple as we have a look at a new announcement from Broadway. The Upside Down is making its way to the big stage. Stranger Things: The First Shadow, a stage adaptation of the popular Netflix series, is set to premiere at New York City's Marquee Theater in the spring of 2025. Directed by Stephen Daldry and co-directed by Justin Martin, the play will kick off performances on March 28th, 2025, with an official opening slated for April 22nd, 2025. The production has already made waves in London, where it earned the Oliver Award for Best New Entertainment or Comedy Play and Best Set Design. The story, crafted by the Duffer Brothers alongside Jack Thorne and Kate Treffry, explores the origins of the sinister character Henry Creel, who is later known as Vecna in the series. Set 4 decades before the events of the show's 1983 timeline, the play delves into the dark history of Hawkins' lab. Critics have praised the play for its ambitious scope and theatrical innovation. Time Out described it as a, quote, sprawling maximalist monolith, noting that it transcends traditional theater. The Guardian called it, quote, breathtaking theater with its own arresting imagination, highlighting its unique and captivating approach. And it's cool to see, different individuals getting a chance to, or different, not individuals, different shows getting a chance to hit the big stage, especially if they have this level of popularity. The last show that comes to mind that uh we I guess gave a trial run in London before it came to the States was Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. And that show slapped. That show was absolutely awesome. I and it might just be like I'm a huge Harry Potter nerd, but I went and I saw it was split up. It was like the first half was one play, and then I left for like an hour and a half, and then I came back and I saw basically two plays in the same day, but it was one play that was split up into two plays. Like it was, I've done a poor job of explaining this. Um, it was exciting, it was a very cool adaptation of story. And I love how we get to, maybe give it a different adaptation, a different like lens to look at these stories because what's shown on TV and what's shown on the stage are very, very different ways of expressing art and expressing story. And so I'm pretty excited to see because I hadn't heard about this. I'm pretty excited to see how this winds up turning out because again, this is a great way to express, a story that was already very, very exciting in the Netflix version. And we'll see, what it's like being in front of a live performance.
Yeah, I agree. I am very excited to see how they're going to portray this version in Broadway. I am a big Stranger Things fan, so I will probably go see this play. Um, but I also know that with Stranger Things, like the Netflix version in its final season, I do know that the Duffer Brothers are starting to create more spin-offs to this show. So the Stranger Things world is not coming to an end anytime soon. But I'm excited to see how they're going to portray this show and what other spin-offs are gonna come from the Stranger Things universe as well.
Yeah, me too. It's just like the one thing that I kind of worry about that is pushing it a little bit too far.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't do it. I think that it's absolutely a fantastic thing because I think there's a lot more
Hmm.
that can be flushed out from the Stranger Things universe. But there is a lot of there's a lot of ability for in the mass media to kind of push the needle a little bit too far because it's making money and it's popular and what have you. And it leads to decisions that I personally, don't agree with. Uh, Hence the existence of Kung Fu Panda 4. That movie was it's not I've vocalized my opinions about that movie.
It's like
Um,
they just recently, I think like over COVID actually, they did, I don't know if you've ever seen the show Gossip Girl,
I
but
have not.
they did a reboot of that show. And basically, so like the premise of Gossip Girl is it's like this sort of online like entity, I guess is how I would describe it, that kind of sends out like blasts, but like you don't know who it is. Like the whole point is like you do not know who it is. And in this reboot, they kind of ruined it because it's like the audience knew who it was, but like the people within the show didn't know who it was, which I thought that was like so stupid because I'm like, I like the idea of finding out who it was.
Yeah, exactly. It's like just the way that things can be re-represented and can be like it's there's a certain point where I feel like a lot of things are done just to like gain attention. To go back to that Kung Fu Panda
Yeah.
reference as well, why was Mr. Beast cast for one? He said one word and that was it. Like that feels like they're just kind of throwing money at all like the wrong things to try and create scenarios or things that'll drag in the masses without actually creating a good story. So, and I'm not saying at all that this is what this is. I don't think that's the case in the slightest. But it's one of those things where whenever I hear, a new story that's coming out or like a new bit of material is being released based in a world that is very popular. It reminds me of, the Percy Jackson um
Oh, yeah.
movies that came out. Those were awful. Like it just there's a certain point where if something feels fleshed out enough, I feel like it's a dangerous game to be playing. And I don't think we're at that point yet with Stranger Things. I think there is more still to do, but I hope that they don't push it too far because if you do, I mean, you end up in scenarios like the CW's Flash, where you just don't know when to
Mhm.
end. It all kind of just becomes filler at that point. Speaking of the Flash and other forms of media, we're going to take a look at some of America's favorite television shows in our next take.